You're listening to The Blind Chick, an Aftersight original podcast. We're telling you stories about strength, overcoming hurdles, and living experiences. We see who you really are. Blindness can be an adventure. Are you ready for the journey of a lifetime? We are.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Blind Chick. That's Moses Street.
And that's Penn Street, the blind chick.
Wah, wah, wah.
Who's that? That's your wife. Oh, yeah.
Okay, we talked about you talking to yourself, so cut it out. It feels, when you do podcasts, you're like in this weird kind of time warp. And excuse me, my voice, it's going to come and go. You're just going to have to bear with it. I am on the tail end of COVID, but that's another story. But it feels like it's been a while since we've done an interview. And so I'm really excited. Today,
this is a good one.
I know. Today, we're going to be speaking with John Romano, and I met John a couple of months ago at a really incredible conference here in Colorado, and I'm so glad that he agreed to come on. He's definitely he has a unique dual role. He's a nonprofit leader as well as an app developer. So super excited to have you on, John. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you, Penn and Moses. I love the enthusiasm. You know, enthusiasm is godlike to me. And that's ethos, enthusiasm is great here.
Well, I think we have extra enthusiasm because we just got back from a trip of a lifetime, which I hear you've also been traveling as well. But yeah, Moses and I just visited Iceland and Scotland, and
fun.
It was
I came
amazing.
back
It was. Yeah, that sounds exotic.
How long were you there?
16 days, and every minute of it enjoyed. The food, the life, it was just delightful. And I went there last year. So it's my second trip. So
So I always love when you find that, like for Moses and I, it's definitely Costa Rica, except now I think it's Iceland. We both are really antsy to get back and spend more time in Iceland because
there's something about that place. It's because when you first land, it's just barren, and then as you're driving around, it's barren, and then all of a sudden you're in this scene that's just not possible. You know, it's like you've walked into some fantasy land. It's crazy.
I can just imagine.
Yeah. But did you spend a lot of time on the beach in Thailand?
Yes and no. It was a little hot for me on the beach, but I enjoyed the nightlife and the food. And I was with a good friend.
What was your favorite meal?
So it was the Thai menu, just anything on the Thai menu. I mean, I'm a seafood diet kind of person. You know, I see food I like.
Okay, I'm going to steal that one a lot.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
This is the first hardball, because boy, we're going to hit you, John. The first hardball question: are you related to Ray Romano?
Oh, I wish that, I remember the show. I love the show.
Yeah.
And a lot of people ask me that same question, but unfortunately not. I love the creative arts and the theater arts and things like that. And into various shows, but unfortunately not in this case.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Interview's over. We thought we had the brother of a celebrity.
We still like you, John. We still like you.
A number of celebrities. There would be the famous catcher, John Romano. A lot of Romanos.
Oh, that's right.
Wow, that's right. Impressive.
That is good.
Okay.
All right.
Now
let's get down to business.
Serious. Yeah.
Okay.
So John, I know when we met in person, you told me that you had a really unique connection to why you started your nonprofit and doing the app. And can you share where sort of your new career began?
Absolutely. I have been involved in disaster preparedness and relief since Hurricane Sandy. I was a disaster survivor myself, and but going even farther back than that, I was avid motorcyclist and pilot, and way back when, and I've always had sort of the ability to deal with risk. I'm 70 years old now, but uh, my younger life, I seemed to be in a lot of genres that involved risk, and and of course, by default, with that, there's risk mitigation.
Yes.
And all about being a pilot is about being mitigate your risk, and of course, riding a motorcycle. If you don't want to get hurt, you mitigate risk on a motorcycle. So those things landed me sort of in this new career I took, the leap I took about back in 2013, and went to work on Hurricane Sandy and worked in the aftermath of that hurricane for 2.5 years. And
wow.
So I got to see a lot of things since I was working on a full-time basis as a disaster relief worker. I got to see a lot of things about what didn't work in disasters. And I got to meet with a lot of disaster survivors firsthand and talk with them and train them in preparedness and work with them in the recovery phase. So all of those things kind of led me to where I am now, the combination of the pilot training and love of technical things, and then working on Hurricane Sandy. And it was a great opportunity. It was a wonderful 2.5 years, one of the immensely gratifying times of my life. And that's what led to me launching a nonprofit organization called Disaster Central. And haven't turned back since. I've worked with over 6,000 disaster survivors over the years. And I'm working on improving their uh, their end user experience, if you will. That's more of a technical, mindset to that. But how can we looking for ways how we can, improve end user experiences for disaster survivors. And I found a lot of things that could be done, and got to see the whole system from the top down and the bottom up. And so that gave me that unique perspective to where I am to now.
Wow, and part of your big one is it lacked inclusion, right?
Yes, and that has, for the past 3.5 years, uh, I've been very involved in with various communities and disability communities and access and functional needs. And there's a strong push now out there for these communities to be more involved, have a seat at the table when it comes to emergency planning and emergency preparedness. And that's sort of been my interest and my goal as well. And, we started developing the Be Ready app. Oh, it's been about 2.5 years ago now. And so now we have a decent user base, and, but we're teaching, as a nonprofit organization, we're interested in all three phases of a disaster. And that's the preparedness, the navigation through a disaster, and the long-term recovery. So the technology we develop deals with one particular aspect of that, and that's preparedness. And with the understanding there's so much more involved in a disaster and its mitigation and recovery.
Wow. And so when you designed the Be Ready app, did you have the disability community sort of in the forefront of your mind in developing it, or was it an afterthought, like, hey, we got to make this accessible?
It was more of a situation where, what can we do to mitigate the loss of life and property uh, prior to a disaster, and
Mm.
the disability community came afterwards. Uh, the stakeholder, working with stakeholders in on a weekly basis, literally on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I can't say it started with the idea, the notion in mind that, how can we make disasters, a better experience, if you can say that, if you can,
Yeah.
post disaster, and what can we do to increase the sustainability of a household, okay, whether that be at the individual level or a household. And so
Okay.
Right,
that's what led
because
to the Be Ready app.
yeah, because I mean, it's what it sounds like from the news anyway, is that the disasters are becoming far more frequent. Am I correct?
Absolutely, in intensity and in frequency. More billion-dollar level disasters, and
Wow.
due to climate change. I'm not going to mix words with that. Clearly, I think it
Right.
has to do with the science that shows us that, and this is something we really have to kind of fasten our seatbelts and and endure the coming years, because they are there, and the data is there, and it's empirically telling us, what's going on. So
Mm.
and so
Yeah,
it's
because
really about,
it's
what we can do as individuals and at the household level to better that post disaster or during disaster experience.
yeah, because just as an add-on, that I unfortunately went through Estes Park's first two big floods, and it would have been wonderful. They improved dramatically on the second one because the first one there was a big loss of life going down through the Big Thompson flood. That was back in '76, and then they followed that up in '82 with another big flood that went through town.
And then
Uh,
2013 was
and then
another.
2013, which yeah, that was even worse. So this is really important. So what does the app do uh, for planning?
Well, the app is, we characterize it as this. It's a great big red easy button for people who maybe don't want to think about these things, because it's,
Mm.
when we think about these things, it's kind of like doing our will and doing our taxes. We don't want to, we don't really want to do these things, but it's a
Right.
planning tool, and it's a technological planning tool that gives feature sets as a screen by screen walkthrough of preparing an individual or a household for a disaster. And it collects information, what we call user generated information in technical terms. It has a document vault that sits in the cloud. It's fully secure, and it's all the data is encrypted. It's all HIPAA compliant, CCPA compliant, and GDPR
Nice.
compliant. Those are data protection acts, and so it assembles documentation. Helps you, walks you through step by step through preparing a plan, a household plan, and it sets up contacts. It sets up uh, load information in there with regarding your pets, uh,
Oh,
or
wow.
seeing eye dogs, animals, and brings together, but more importantly, it brings together a community of support, and uh, in a during a disaster and after a disaster. Now,
Wow.
so if the logical question is, is Well, what happens if all the cell phone towers fail?
Right.
Well, the app itself has the ability to store that information on your iPhone. So you can store critical documentation and share it when that information when the connectivity does emerge again.
Okay.
And there's a lot of efforts nowadays right now that relies heavily upon more satellite communications during a disaster. I know one of the last meetings they had at CMIST, the Colorado Access Functional Needs Group,
Yeah.
was this notion of satellite-based cell towers. And so I don't want to get too technical, but
Yeah.
it can be a real continuity solution before, during, and after disasters.
Yeah, because I know,
So-
John, they talk about go kits, it makes, or go bag, that you have, in the place that you can just grab it and run out the door with. But my thing is that, like, we just got back from a trip. Our passports are still sitting on the dining room table. It's documents that, or like we're flying on a trip and I'm taking my guide dog with me. So I have to pull out his documentation out of that bag, right? And it's this constant shuffle of documents going in and out of the bag. And it's like, always makes me nervous because I'm bound to forget, like, oh, our passports are still on the dining room table. So it's really cool to me to think that you could upload everything. So you don't have to worry if your passport gets left or my guide dog information gets left behind because it lives up in, the vault. So I think that that's really, really important. So when you built this app, who did you really have in mind that it was going to serve?
I think the user, what it does is it puts the user of the app in the mindset of preparedness. So when I built the app with a lot of other developers, the idea was to build a tool for continuity in a disaster. Now, as in all candidness, the app has some accessibility feature sets that are not only incorporated within the app, but it has planned feature sets that will accommodate people with limited vision or blindness. So in essence, what we're trying to do with this tool is more of a tool that at the present moment should be developed in collaboration with a caretaker. And as we move the app more toward greater adoption, we want to have this app meet the needs of the community, blind community, low vision community, not to mention disability community. At the present time, the app should be seen as a tool that should be a joint tool between the caretaker and the user itself who has a disability.
Okay, that makes sense.
Does it cover things that are going through my mind? So like you'd want your family on it. So there'd be contact between you and your family or I'm thinking of this is without going into the detail, but I was down in Denver in a place that I haven't been in a million years, and my phone stopped working, ran out of power, and I have nothing to get back into an area, Denver, that I know to go home. Does it cover stuff like that?
With the app gives you the ability to either email or text out a full preparedness plan that you spend some level of time preparing. In other words, it's not a single setting app type situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's designed for you to load information into the mobile app. That's why we call it user generated. And take pictures of documents. You don't even have to upload the document. You don't have to have it, a digital copy of the document, but you can take a picture of it just like you do a bank check, if you will, and load it into the cloud, and it retains that critical information that you think will be needed during, a disaster event, or a crisis event, or a high stress event. So that could be a one-off emergency.
And then can you share it with a family member? Because a lot of times, not a lot, but it does happen that somebody is either incapacitated or dies in the actual disaster. Can you assign somebody else to be able to go in and see that information?
Yes, the information could be shared with the pressing of a button. Now, we could talk about further feature sets.
Okay.
We're at a point with the app right now where we're developing. Not only the app is past what they call the MVP stage, or minimum viable product. It's a usable app. But one of the key things we're going to need, and this is a little bit larger, and we might even dedicate another segment to this if needed, but we want to develop this app further for people with disabilities.
Okay.
And we want to build in feature sets that we think are going to springboard off the existing technology as we have it now. Right now, see it as a tool that's being used jointly with your caretakers, and brings in community, other people in your orbit that are liable to play a support role. And so, digressing for a little while, just a moment here, we think of the app as a fishing pole. If you want to think about it this way, a fishing pole. When you teach somebody to fish, they need a fishing pole, but you also know they need more than a fishing pole. They need to know a little bit about the techniques around the fishing pole, right? How do you throw the fly in? How do you, put the fly onto the fishing line? That sort of thing. So when we are advocating for the use of the app, we want to teach a preparedness class with that, what we call people-centered preparedness. And we want to teach them why preparedness is important, and give them a tool that makes it a lot easier. If that makes any sense.
So going along with that, is the app available, or when will it?
It is available. It's not available on the App Store, iOS or Android stores, but it's available through our program called Dare to Prepare. And this is a program that teaches preparedness, and its centerpiece is the mobile app.
Okay, so that was going to be actually my next question, because you had mentioned the classes, and it sounds like that is in conjunction with the app. So that's really awesome, because there are a lot of things out there, John, that are almost overwhelming when it comes to apps. One, they're not very accessible for blind and low vision people, but it's awesome that you guys are doing the classes. And I love the Dare to Be Prepared. So could you tell me a little bit more about those classes and that program?
Yes. A lot of the content that's taught in the class, Dare to Prepare classes, are drawn from the University of Sydney out of Australia, who's done considerable research working with people with disabilities and integrating them in with the emergency management system.
Awesome.
And so we're in conversations right now. When I say we, I mean Disaster Central is a nonprofit organization, is interested in working with the state's SILC in the state of Colorado, and also the SILCs in state of Colorado, and advocating and bringing forth these preparedness classes and centerpiecing the mobile app as a tool.
And that stands for with your acronyms. That's what is it? Colorado Independent Living Centers.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I know them as State Independent Living Centers, SILC.
Okay.
And Independent Living Centers.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And these classes, because it's not like you've got to go to a location to take the classes. How would you get them online?
Well, that's one of the things that we're in discussion about. I know I had a brief conversation with Curtis Garrett of Atlantis, and I believe every month he has. He's a real big advocate for addressing planning for disasters and other emergencies. So we want to be in on their Zoom meetings and talk about how we can roll out this program. Because it's still in its infancy, and it's going to require engagement of the disability community, because we only can measure, we go by metrics, and that's who uses the app and how valuable they find the app and the feedback they give the app to us. And then we can build on iterations from there. So
that's
it's
awesome.
One of those situations where not with us, but not without us,
Yeah.
And so we need input from the community to develop further iterations of this technology, because there's so many possibilities here.
Yeah.
And I'm putting on my technological hat when it comes to AI and assistive technology, how we can really make the mobile phone into a tool for assistive technology, a better tool for assistive technology.
I mean, as a blind low vision person, my phone is the gateway. It's the key to the rest of my life. So it's awesome that you're inviting us, to the table, like you said, to find out how you can make it better and stronger and more accessible. That's awesome.
Hello, everybody. Well, if you've enjoyed this conversation thus far, you're going to want to come back and check out next week's episode with John, because he's going to go more in depth into the app and some of its more practical uses. So come check that out. I don't have a whole lot to say other than check out all of our other podcasts: Blind Sight, Blind Level Tech, Navigating Life with Vision Loss, which is actually coming to an end with our 16 weeks on advocacy. But don't fret, we got 16 weeks coming starting September 2nd, and that's all going to be on safety and making sure that you are safe in finances, in physical health, in your living areas, and more things to come. So be on the lookout for that. But we want to thank you guys for listening to The Blind Chick. Don't forget to be kind to yourself, be kind to others. It's good for your soul.